What's up, Element? We are excited to be here, or a little nervous about being here. I'm not really sure. If you are familiar with the show Hot Ones, it may be one of my favorite shows on YouTube. What it is, we got 10 wings, 10 sauces that get progressively hotter. Francis and I are both going to be eating, and then through the middle of it, I'm just going to ask him some random questions, and hopefully he can answer them, or hopefully not. We don't really care. It's just going to be kind of funny to watch. And we're going to have some fun with it. But before we jump into that, I want to tell you one thing. We are jumping back in this week to John chapter 4. So we've been going through the book of John so far, and John 4 starts this way. It says, Jesus knew the Pharisees had heard that he was baptizing and making more disciples than John was. Though Jesus himself didn't baptize them, his disciples did. So he left Judea and he returned to Galilee. And he had to go through Samaria on the way. Eventually he came to the Samaritan village of Sychar, near the field that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. And Jacob's well was there. Jesus was tired from a long walk. He sat wearily beside the well around noontime, and soon a Samaritan woman came to draw water. And Jesus said to her, "Please give me a drink." He was alone at the time because the disciples had gone into the village to buy some food. And I know that doesn't sound like there's a ton in there, but there's a lot that happens. Jesus is walking away from some people. He kind of like walks away from an argument that he doesn't need to have. He sets an example for us. He meets a lady that really society would have said he should have never even talked to in the first place, and they really shouldn't have been at the well at that time. And so there's a lot of like cultural stuff that gets broken down in there. And my goal is over the next maybe 15, 20 minutes to kind of break down some of those things, and then let Francis tell us a little bit of personal stuff about him while we eat some hot wings. So our first hot wing isn't even on the Scoville scale. It's super lame, super easy. It is Famous Dave's sweet and zesty barbecue sauce. It is about as simple as it gets. And the deal is, if you haven't seen the show, you don't have to eat the whole wing, you just got to eat a bite. So Francis will start with this one.
Yes. I hope they're all like this.
All right, so John 4 opens with the story of Jesus leaving the town of Judea and returning to Galilee. Today, the towns around the Sea of Galilee are vacation destinations for both Holy Land trips and Israeli people looking to get away for a few days. Like, I've been there. People love to vacation there. So here's my question for you. What's your favorite place to vacation?
Probably just because from growing up would be Bethany Beach. Grew up with my uncle and his family have a house there, and it's one of the original houses that was built in Bethany. So it's right up against the water, and you can walk to the sand in 30 seconds. So that, just growing up for me, was so special. And yeah, I think Bethany's it.
Thrasher fries or boardwalk fries?
I'd say DB fries. I mean, that's not your option, but DB fries in downtown Bethany.
That's the way to go.
So, yeah.
If you're a Thrasher fries person, I just want you to know you're wrong. All right? All right, so our second hot sauce up is a really popular wing sauce, Frank's Red Hot. This one's on, it's their buffalo sauce. It's $4.50 on the Scoville scale. If you're not familiar, the Scoville scale is named after Mr. Scoville. And it goes from like 0 with green peppers to 2 million or some insanely high number. We're going to get pretty close to that. We're going to have some fun with it. But we're going to go with Frank's Red Hot.
I don't think it's going to be fun.
Francis has been walking around saying, "I'm not scared. This is easy."
Trying to get myself psyched up. You know?
All right, so in Jesus' day, they had limited modes of transportation. You could have taken a donkey, a horse, a carriage. We see that kind of in the Old Testament some. But for whatever reason, Jesus just seemed to walk most places. I don't know if it was about his pace or just his preferred way to travel. Being so tall, if you guys don't know, Francis is tall. Everybody randomly tells him that as if he doesn't realize it. So being a guy who's 6'6", 6'7",
6'7", yeah.
What's your preferred method of travel?
Well, when I'm on a plane, it's exit row. I'd probably say, I'd probably say driving, and specifically would be driving an old car. I really like old cars. So.
What's the hardest thing about being so tall and traveling?
So
assuming that like travel is approved again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the hardest part about being tall is definitely just your knees. I think your knees are like the hardest part in every situation. There was like some of those viral videos of the guy hitting the back of the person's seat on an airline recently because she was leaning back into him. And when someone does that to me, they literally have no space to lean back into, so my knees just touch up against their seat, and they try and lean back, but I'm right there.
Have you flown Economy Plus?
Never. No.
Oh, that's the way to go. It's much cheaper than first class. It's like an $80 upgrade,
Okay.
but you get like that extra, like what is it called? The exit row. You get like exit row space.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed. It's the way to go. All right. That wing was a little bit hotter.
Yeah,
but
I felt it a little.
Yeah. So the third one, we got Tabasco's green sauce. It's a pretty simple sauce. Some of you are going, this is lame. Trust me, it's going to get worse. But Tabasco's green sauce is 1,000 on the Scoville scale. So we're going to try that one. See what we think.
All right.
By the way, I haven't had any of these except for Frank's Red Hot.
I actually really like this one.
I
You're
don't.
not a fan of it?
I don't. So one of my favorite things about Hot Ones, if you guys haven't seen it, seriously, check out YouTube. Great show. I enjoy watching it. But one of my favorite things about the show is that the host, when he's eating the wings, every now and then a guest will ask, what's the worst sauce up here? And he won't point to the hottest one. He'll just point to the one with like the worst flavor. In my opinion, this one right here is the winner so far. That is nasty. But the story opens with Jesus knowing that the Pharisees have an issue with him baptizing people. And it's really not even him baptizing them, it's just the idea that like he's baptizing them and John's baptizing them and they don't understand what authority he has to do that. And they have an issue with him. So, sorry, I'm trying to get that sauce out of my mouth. I was trying to think of some issues that you've had with people. One issue I know you had with Savannah one time was over a tattoo that she wanted to get.
Yeah.
And I remember the tattoo that she wanted just was "All is Grace." And apparently some pastor you had listened to somewhere talked about truth and grace, whatever. Yeah. What was your issue with the tattoo? Did she wind up getting it? Like, here's your chance to defend yourself, and she's in the other room and can't talk about it.
She didn't end up getting it. She only has one tattoo that I know of. And yeah, I mean, it was just a tattoo that she wanted to get on her forearm, I think, that was going to say "All is Grace." It was in the theme of a book that she had been reading recently. And she was pretty convinced that she was going to go do it when she was living in Milwaukee. So we were living apart from each other, Milwaukee and Maryland. And I think that one of the things, I think I felt like she was rushing into it a little bit. And then also I felt like I couldn't wrap my mind around how "All is Grace" was like a truth for life, I guess. So just because sometimes it doesn't always feel that way. So maybe it would have been a good reminder, but yeah. So I think we argued about it for a good while over text, and then maybe a phone call, and it wasn't great, but she ended up not getting it, and I've told her that she can get it if it means something to her. So
how did I wind up getting blamed for it?
Because it was because of the theme of truth and grace, and I don't think you got blamed. It was just like what I was learning in church recently, and that's what came up when we were talking about it. So yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
She should have got it. She shouldn't have got it. I don't know. You guys comment.
We can ask her what the book was or the author that she was reading, but it was, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, ladies, if you're interested, I know Kim is starting I don't know what they're calling it. I'm going to say the wrong name. I think it's called the Pandemic Book Group, but it's literally just like a group of people reading through a book and having some discussions, because I don't know about you, but we have been caught in like the loop of YouTube and Netflix and every other thing that's just kind of mindless. And while that's convenient right now, it's not the most helpful. And so Kim wanted to read some books. She wanted to encourage some other people to do it. If you're interested in that, shoot her a text, 410-300-0545, and just ask her what book they're going to start and when they plan on doing it. But let's get to the next wing. So I have never had Capital City Mambo sauce. People rave about this stuff. I hear people talk about it. I see it all over the stores. It's a company out of DC. This is their hotter one. So if you're familiar with it, this is their sweet hot Mambo sauce. I have no idea what the Scoville rating is. Maybe somebody can help me figure it out. I have tried to do a lot of research to figure these out, and I wasn't able to find this one. So this could be really lame, or this could be super hot. We really don't know.
All right. I like the name.
Have you had mambo sauce before?
I've heard of it. I've never had it.
We went to College Park. I like that.
Definitely super sweet.
Yeah, that's like more barbecue sauce than. It's got a little heat on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too bad. All right, so Jesus responds to tension. So really, the whole thing starts with the Pharisees having an issue with him, and so Jesus responds to tension in a way that we don't see a lot. He avoids the argument. He just says, "Hey, there's tension over there, so I'm going to head out of town. There's no reason for me to go have that fight." To me, I feel like that's a really helpful example that I see in Christ, that like not every fight is worth having. And he kind of sets that example. I know you're somebody who doesn't like to fight. You don't enjoy the tension. But I was just thinking about this. Like, what's the last fight or argument you walked away from? That you went, I want to fight. I know the words to say, but I'm just going to avoid it because it's not worth the argument.
I don't know if I'm that healthy when it comes to.
What's the last fight you wish you would have walked away from?
Well, I think the last fight that presented itself to me, but I didn't say anything, was one time at work when someone was talking about, I guess just church in general, and they said something about like I don't know what those crazies praying to a genie in the bottle think they're doing, or something like that, and that just got me heated. And then what I do is, instead of responding in the moment, I go off on my own and just kind of fume and like try and come up with a good retort, or like come up with, the line that I'm supposed to say. So that's probably the last one. That was a long time ago, but that's a very vivid memory for me.
Did you ever go back and say it?
I never said anything to him, no.
So you came up with the right response.
Well, I didn't come up with the right response, that's for sure. It's probably, yeah.
It's the same thing I do. So I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm frustrated with people, I have an internal argument with them for like the next 4 hours, but I don't ever actually have that conversation.
Yeah.
Or I go super offensive, super quick, and just like establish authority and like make it as confrontational as possible. I just get offensive.
Yeah.
All right. Sauce number 5 is Cholula sauce. Now I will say this. Francis said, if sauce 5 is Cholula sauce, this is easy.
Then I'm going to be okay. But...
I have no worries. Now it's 3,600 on the Scoville scale. We're starting to get a little bit hotter. We'll see. I'm still feeling the heat from that mambo sauce.
Yeah, it's not like super painful, but it's definitely there.
Yeah. That's a great wing sauce. If you guys are looking for a sweeter wing sauce, or sweeter like boneless wing sauce, that might be the right move to make.
Yep.
But here we go with Cholula.
Cholula.
If you guys have sauces to suggest, let me know.
Mm-hmm. As we get further and further along, I'm strategically taking my bites. So there's half chicken that has no sauce on it and half chicken that does have sauce. I'm just moving further and further to the chicken without sauce.
Watch it. It's super lame. He's got to eat. He's got to make sure he's getting sauce. So the story tells us that Jesus had to go through Samaria. Like, it says he's leaving one town, going to another, and it says he has to go through the village of Sychar at Samaria. But when we look at a map, like if you guys look up the route that he would have traveled, he actually didn't have to go through that town at all. Like, geographically, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. It was kind of an out-of-the-way place. And so geography didn't determine where he had to go. It seems like God may have called him to where he wanted him to go. And so I wanted to ask you this question. Like, as you think about, like, maybe the past 5 years in life, or maybe even longer than that, like, as you think through vivid memories, like, what's one of those moments you go, I had to do this because I knew God was calling me to do it, even though it didn't make sense necessarily on the surface. Like, Jesus has to tell his boys, I'm taking you out of the way, but it's the right place to go, even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. This is a crazy story, but I won't tell the whole thing. You guys can ask me for it sometime in person. But when I was a junior in college, I was finishing up my junior year, and I had the opportunity to go away for the summer with the ministry that I was a part of at Maryland called Crew. And I was going to be going to Jacksonville, Florida to go on something called Try Life. It was Try Life because we were trying life for the first time for what it was supposed to be for post-college. And then also it was supposed to be three things. How do you win at home in terms of with your family? How do you win in the church? And how do you win at work? And have, I guess, Christ involved in all three of those things. And so the deal was that you were supposed to get an internship or a job down in Jacksonville before you committed and raised all the money to go down there. And I tried everything in the spring to try and line up an internship. Nothing worked out. I called a professor at a university. He got back to me, but then was kind of flaky in terms of responding after that. And eventually, when I entered the summer, at some point I was living in College Park, and I just had to tell my parents, hey, I think that God is like telling me that I need to go to Jacksonville and trust him that I'll end up with something that'll be good enough to move me along in my career, but also just trust him in terms of what I'm doing with my life. So I got down there, and within a couple of weeks, due to some crazy circumstances, I had found an engineering internship with a boating company. So I ended up making stainless steel and aluminum boat parts for them for the summer, which was really cool. So it was like all fishing vessel stuff. So
Got it. Now, if you only knew a person with boats
yeah,
that could use that kind of knowledge.
exactly. Actually, one thing they gave me when I left was a steering wheel that had a small, I guess, just bad part to it. And so I have this random boat steering wheel sitting in my bedroom, probably at my parents' house.
If you guys need a boat steering wheel, that may or may not work.
It works fine. It just has a little bit of missing chrome somewhere. So.
Got it. Got it. All right, so we're about to step it up in wing class. So we got 5 sauces left. Let me put this last one up there. Francis can slide them over a little bit.
Yep. This is the next one.
Yes, our next one is called Pick-a-Peppa Sauce. Who knows how this is going to be? But we are jumping up from 3,600 to 50,000 on the Scoville scale. So this gets significantly hotter, and the second half is far worse than the first half. So we will see how this goes. Good luck, man.
What happens if we eat this one and we both can't keep going? That's what I want to know.
Well, I can keep going because I'm a man.
Okay.
But you do what you want. That's not bad.
Oh, we were like literally like 5 seconds into it.
Well, yeah, I say it before it gets bad. All right, so it says that when Jesus got to town, he's exhausted from a long trip. So he decided to walk. There were maybe some other ways to travel, but that's how he chose to get there. When he gets there, he's exhausted. Thinking about times that you've been exhausted, I know you're a person who can tend at times to say yes to too many things. You don't say no to a whole lot. What's the most exhausted you've ever been?
Goodness.
Or where's the weirdest place you've crashed because you're just completely worn out?
I think that the most, probably the most exhausted I've ever been was probably in high school from 2-a-days for soccer tryouts. Just morning and afternoon was just ridiculous. Like I was never the best runner. I was pretty good in terms of ball distribution on the field for soccer, but never very good at keeping up with everyone in terms of endurance. So the 2-a-days, and then also I can remember very vividly one volleyball tournament probably 2 years ago where I didn't maintain my fluids. I didn't eat enough that day, and I just tanked really hard when we were approaching playoffs. It got to the point where I just had to tell my partner that I couldn't go forward because my body was cramping and I was seeing spots and just, was about to pass out. So physical
exhaustion.
Yeah.
What's the most mentally exhausted you've been?
Mentally exhausted. Goodness. I mean, it's got to be sometime in college from some engineering course keeping me up too late, but I guess I don't really identify with the mentally exhausted as much as the physical. I remember the physical very vividly. Yeah.
Mental exhaustion is my thing.
Yeah.
Far more than physical exhaustion. I get so mentally tired, my brain goes crazy, and then I just want to pass out and can't. On a side note, that sauce was not hot.
Yeah, I feel like this one might have been a little bit of a dud in terms of hotness. I can kind of feel a little bit of burning, but it's not crazy, and what I'm worried about is that they're all just going to add on top of each other.
Yeah, that's fun though.
In terms of pain.
If you guys find a different Scoville scale on these sauces, feel free to send it to me. I kind of went, there was like a range with each sauce. I kind of went with the higher number, not just for the sake of effect, but just because that's how hot it can be. And so that one was like, I think like 20 to 50,000. That might have been a little bit lower, but that honestly, the Cholula was hotter in my opinion. But all right, so our next one up is Spicy Jerk Barbecue. It's from Walker's Wood. It's a spicy Jamaican jerk barbecue sauce, but it is supposed to be significantly hot. It was anywhere from 50,000 to 250,000, and they ranked this one less than the next one, so I'm just kind of putting it in that 150,000 scale.
I would say that kind of sounds like a big range for one sauce.
Yeah, it does. But it's what variety of peppers went into it. So
here we go.
Good luck.
Thank you. How do I get the least amount of sauce on this bite? I really like the initial flavor.
Yeah, I love jerk seasoning.
Yeah.
Jerk seasoning is great. I feel like if Nadia watches this, she's going to make fun of us. Like, that's not even a real jerk seasoning. But I do like jerk seasoning. Nadia, you're welcome to make wings for us anytime for this. I'll make sure we eat them. But when the woman walks up to Jesus, so Jesus is sitting by a well. He's exhausted. He's kind of like, I just imagine him on a bench. You know, I don't even know if that would have been there in that day, but I imagine him sitting there on a bench. A woman walks up. Jesus asks her to get him some water. And water might have been his drink of choice, or it may have been all that was available for him. So here's my question for you. What is your drink of choice?
Ooh. In terms of like soft drinks, it's root beer all the way. I have rankings in terms of all the different root beers I've tried.
What's the best root beer?
Gosh, I mean, I think in terms of like the classic lines, I think Barks is probably the best for me. But in terms of like my favorite cocktails, probably somewhere in like the whiskey, ginger, rum and coke. Really like Wisconsin old fashions; those are really good. So yeah.
Have you had a Manhattan?
I've never had a Manhattan, but sweeter cocktails I'm kind of into. Not really into the beer and wine scene at all. So.
Dude, mudslides.
Mudslides, yeah.
I got Francis hooked on a mudslide this past summer.
I made him this week. So.
Yeah, if you could have anything to drink right now, what would it be?
That would actually probably be a good thing to have after this is done because all the dairy to help us with the
kills the spice.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're getting into the pretty hot stuff. So we got
this last one once again didn't show.
Not too bad.
It was a no-show.
Do know whoever goes next. Maybe you can help me come up with somebody that we can just nominate and throw under the bus and call them weak if they don't do it. Whoever goes next, I ordered a box of 10 hot sauce challenge and get progressively hotter. And it's supposed to be a lot of heat in that one. And so you kind of lucked out on this one. The next one is from Walker's Wood 2. It's called Seriously Hot Jamaican Jonkanu. I have no idea how to say that word. Probably a Jamaican word. Jonkanu pepper sauce. So it's a type of pepper. It's supposed to be pretty rough. We will see how it goes. I don't know which one is which.
I think it's the left.
You think?
Yeah.
Good. If not,
just because you were going that way.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But this one, it also has the little seeds and stuff in it.
Yeah, so this one looks significantly hotter. It says 250,000 on the Scoville scale, so we will see if it gets worse.
My favorite thing about this one is that it says it was made in Walker's Wood, Jamaica, and then it also has comma WI, so Jamaica, Wisconsin. Nadia, Brendan, let us know. Is there a Jamaica, Wisconsin, or is it Jamaica WI for some other reason?
That's got more heat. Good luck, man.
I'm worried.
So, thinking about Jesus and the woman, he initiates a conversation with somebody.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah, you feel it. It's good.
It's on the way.
So, Jesus initiates this conversation with a woman that he barely has anything in common with. When it comes to like gender or race or culture, they didn't agree about most things. Religion, like they had very, very little in common. But you do a great job typically of connecting with people that you don't have a whole lot in common with. So I was trying to think of this, like who's somebody maybe recently that you've just connected with that's like one of those unlikely friends that's been a great friendship, even though you didn't have a lot in common when it started?
Common when it started. I'm trying to think about who would be and also deal with what's going on in here. So,
The heat is definitely setting in from that one.
it's setting in. in the roof of the mouth and
Like-
the lips right now. So
That one went significantly hotter. Whatever the last one was,
like,
might have been 50,000. That was 250.
it feels like quadruple the amount of what we just did. So, yeah. So a friend that maybe I didn't have a lot in common with.
Or maybe something that a friend got you into that you go, man, I would have never done that outside of that friendship.
Gotcha. I'm trying to think of something. I mean, a lot of my friends are like within the same group of people. I don't think that I've had like a whole lot of new friends recently. I will say that some of my people at work, so there's like Stevie Dennis, a few other guys at work, they all were dog owners. And so when Savannah came to me asking to get a dog, kind of fell in common with them. And so now we just are constantly sharing dog stories back and forth, which is pretty fun. And so that's good. But
Yeah, it makes sense.
yeah, and now we're pretty close at work.
It's one of those cool ways to build a bridge
Yeah.
with somebody. I feel like when Kim and I got a dog, it immediately became a bridge to a lot of people who love to talk about dogs, who love to talk about pets. I am not a cat person. I think you're weird. Although Tiger King, I hear, is great. People love it. They say it's chaotic.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I don't know what you're doing. Get Netflix. All right. Although I haven't seen it, but I'm still lecturing you. All right. So we're down to the last two sauces. We got ghost pepper sauce. My favorite thing about this one is when I was trying to look up Scoville scale in the store yesterday or a couple days ago to figure this one out, right on the back of the bottle, it tells you it's 480,000. I know you guys can't see that, but it tells you it is 480,000 on the Scoville scale. So at least double what we just ate, man. So this one is going to be fun.
Are we going to be able to continue our conversation? I'd be careful how much you go with that. It says more than one drop is suicide. So,
well, we've already doused them.
Hold on. More than one drop is suicide, and this is how Ryan sauces our wings here.
It should be fun. Oh, by the way, couldn't find chicken wings, so we did drumsticks instead.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Take a small, you go first. I'm gonna stand over here, sit over here. And the best part is that this guy doesn't drink lactose milk, and we only have lactose milk here. So
yeah. So I have water.
he's up Schitt's Creek, that's for sure.
Exactly. All right. So verse 8, the end of the story that we read, tells us that Jesus is alone because his boys went into town to get some food. Right? Not only does Jesus take his guys on a long walk out of the way of where they're actually trying to go, but he doesn't even pack them something to eat. So they're hungry when they get there. I think Jesus' disciples from time to time had to just get annoyed with him. Like, you haven't told us the plan. You haven't led us in the right direction. You didn't prepare for what we actually needed. And I feel like I would have been annoyed if I was one of his disciples.
Sure.
But here's the freedom I feel as a leader. This is hot, like significantly hot. Sorry, maybe you're laughing.
Turn the hat around backwards. It's kind of hot.
Here's some freedom I feel as a leader. Just because somebody gets annoyed with you doesn't mean you're a bad leader. It's kind of just a thing that happens in leadership. But what's the most annoying thing about following my leadership at Element?
Goodness.
This. This should be the answer.
Shoot, you got me into here, man. Oh man, following your leadership. I'm not sure if I can answer that question specifically, but I can answer a. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I can answer a tension that I feel like I've felt.
Sure.
Within ministry versus, I guess, world jobs. So, with a job that like I guess what I have and what a lot of you guys probably have, we can count our hours very easily, and we know what our hours are allocated to. So we know where our 40 hours go a week, pretty much, and then we can, we can say, I put this many hours to this project, I put this many hours to that project, and I slacked off, or I took a break at work for, maybe an hour a day or half an hour a day or whatever.
You
Is
all
that
right?
something that happens to your voice? Do you just start having like hiccups? Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Spice hiccups. So the tension there is, and it's something I have with Savannah too, because she's in ministry, and also probably with Ryan. Is like, when you look at ministry, they're not always using their 40 hours in the same way that someone with, I guess, a world job would do. And so sometimes you're like, where are the 40 hours going? Because if I spent the same 40 hours that I was doing at my job on something like ministry, like if it was all laid out for me and I knew exactly where I was going and people were cooperative and they wanted to have conversations, we would be far more effective, and it would just be, the church would blow up in terms of like numbers and people coming to Christ and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's my biggest tension is probably that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's a tension I feel every day.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of times where like this right now, getting to hang out with you and eat wings and have fun.
It's part of the job.
Is part of the job, right? That's a fun thing, but it's not everybody's job. And it doesn't always have the same producible like stats that some other people have. And a lot of times I'm envious of that.
Yeah.
I wish it did.
Yeah,
There's a lot of days where I feel like I work all day and I work no part of the day. And I know that's weird. And maybe you feel like I work none or I work way too much. I don't know.
Probably at CarMax, you probably now understand, like, when you get to work, you know exactly what you're doing. But when you're a pastor and you wake up in the morning, it's like, sometimes, it's like, what am I doing today? If I show up, if you're a pastor showing up to an actual church site and your office is there, it's like, I guess we'll have staff meeting and then we'll see where that goes. Or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I've had to lay out a lot of my week ahead of time.
Yeah.
But then there's just some other times in there where it's like relational. Like I get to hang out with somebody and grab lunch. I get to go to a park and minister to a family. It's like, that's part of work, just like you working on a project and sending an email is part of work. That was significantly hotter. I'm trying to avoid saying that. Like, it was good.
Freaking hot.
But that was hot.
I feel like that one had less flavor and it's just pain. It's like...
Yeah.
Do you want some pain with your flavor? Is what they're asking with that one.
Yeah. So that one, if I didn't announce it, that one was 480,000 on the ghost pepper, and then this last one, Matuke's. Now there's a couple sauces from them, but Matuke's Trinidad Scorpion Pepper Sauce. It says salsa picante, and it claims that it is fiery hot. When I looked it up, it's anywhere between 250,000 and 1 million. So this is supposed to be not the hottest sauce we could come up with. There's some worse sauces out there.
I just don't understand the range. 250 to 1 million.
Well, that's the range of peppers that are in it. So depending on what is on yours will determine it. Now, like I did the last set of wings, I properly sauce these. So, Francis, you can do the last dab if you want. It's kind of a tradition of hot ones that you can add a little bit of hot sauce to the last wing. Make sure that is properly sauced, but if you feel like that is good, you are welcome to just go with that.
I feel like I will last dab and then take a strategic bite is probably what I would do, but I don't really want to. So I think I'm just going to go for this.
No more?
No more.
All right.
I'm going to shake some of it off too.
Yeah, good luck. It is still plenty of sauce on there.
I'm still on fire from the last one too, so. All right.
Oh, wow. That's just hot. It makes no sense. It's hot. There's no flavor. Oh.
Hasn't hit me yet.
All right. I don't even know what I'm reading off my own card.
We're not going to be able to see in a second here.
All right. So here's the last question. This one is for our people, for people who are going through some tough times. We are in a weird state. Whether you are scared or you're not, you have to admit that with COVID-19 and everything that is going on, it is just strange times. There is nobody I know that I can call up and go, remember when that thing hit and the whole world shut down for a little bit of time and you were worked up or you weren't worked up or whatever it was. There's nobody who knows what this is like. Our church has been trying to navigate it. We've been trying to come up with some things like this to help people laugh a little bit and give you some great content. But at the end of the day, here's my question. With all of the stuff going on in our world, if you could take like 2 minutes and give people a word of encouragement about how to deal with it, or something they could pray for, or just a way that we can help our community in this kind of time, I just want to give you a minute to do that while your mouth is on fire.
I don't understand how you're still talking, but oh man. That's painful. Whew. I think that something that I'm trying. Something that I encountered recently was that we all have to be really respectful of how each person is dealing with the situation.
That's good.
So that happened with a friend of mine that I invited over to have a fire pit and just like talk in the backyard. And I was like, we can stand 6 feet away from each other. We'll sit, whatever. We'll just talk and maybe eat some takeout. Oh my gosh.
I'm not listening to you. I'll watch it on the video tomorrow.
Yeah, and so when he texted and said like, hey, I think it's smarter for me to not go out right now, I just had to be like, yeah, I get how you're dealing with it, and I don't need to be the person that's like, are you scared? Are you like, trying to constantly badger him, and just kind of be like respectful of what he believes in terms of what's going on. Trying to think of what else I could do to encourage you guys, but just know that if you get COVID-19, it's probably not going to be as bad as this if you're in the. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a broad statement.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, it's time to come together, and not in the literal sense, but just check in on each other, and maybe make some more phone calls if you haven't in the recent days, is actually calling someone up and seeing how they're doing, instead of either I haven't talked to them in a couple of years, or just text messages or whatever. But yeah, I feel like that's all I can come up with
in the moment
while I'm dealing with this pain. I think I understand what it was like for Jesus to carry the cross. So
was that hotter than the last one?
I honestly don't think it was. I think the second to last one was hottest. Do you think so? No?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm dying over here.
He also doesn't have the...
water is just moving spice in my mouth. Yes, I'll take some milk.
Okay.
Not yours, because I don't want to catch your virus. Oh my goodness. Whew. My nose is running. Everything is going wrong. Can you give me... I'm stealing your paper towel, because I don't want to wipe it with a hot sauce paper towel.
Do you want oat milk, silk, or this?
That.
Okay.
All right. Pick up the phone and call people. Everybody's getting emails, so don't shoot an email. Facebook message is blowing up too. Pick up the phone, have an actual conversation, get outside of your comfort zone, and connect with some people. It'll help you. It'll help them. Have a great Sunday, and we'll see you guys next week. Let me know who you want to see on Hot Ones at Element next week. See you guys later.
We did this for you.